listening to We Watch Movies,
I'm Ava,
and I'm Jenna.
and we watch movies. So this week we kind of went back to our roots a little bit and did a ridiculous foreign film that just hit Netflix. It is French. It is called Dear Mother. I can try. Should I try to pronounce the French name?
Of course.
Okay. I can't even pronounce actors' names, so this is gonna be fun. It's L'Origine du Monde. I'm sorry
we're
if we
Latin
have any.
kids. We're very good at this.
Listen, if we have any French listeners out there, I sincerely apologize. But no, so this movie, it's basically there's this guy whose heart just stops, but he doesn't stop. So he's like alive, but just doesn't have a pulse. And then they go to this like guru lady who's like, you have a spiritual issue and you're gonna die in 3 days if you don't sort it out. And the only way that we can solve this problem is if you either bring your mother here to show me, or you take a picture, a Polaroid picture, because digital doesn't count, of her private region. And it's just, I mean, thankfully the genre, like if you Google this movie, the genre is comedy, so me laughing at this isn't like insulting somebody's artwork. It's just I remember like seeing this on the Coming Soon or whatever, and I was like, Jenna, we need to do this next week. Like, this looks absolutely ridiculous and it's perfect. So anyways, without further ado, Jenna, what were your initial reactions?
I don't even know, Ava. I don't even know. This movie is so irreverent of everyone and everything. Just, there's so much to unpack here, like, so much more than The Lost Daughter. I said what I said.
Okay. I think I enjoyed this definitely more than The Lost Daughter. But I also think I enjoyed it more than Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight.
Yeah, that's so easy.
Well, I'm just saying, in terms of, like, our ridiculous foreign film genre, maybe it's because I didn't listen to... No, because if there were dubs for this movie, I would have enjoyed it 1,000 times more. That's true. Yeah, because it would have, basically, it would have been entertaining in the same way that Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight was entertaining for me. Because dubs are hilarious. But anyways, tangent aside, this movie kept my attention so much better than The Lost Daughter, and I mean, they were both doing commentary on questionable mothers, you know what I mean? So like, hey, you know, who wore it better?
Truly a question for historians to ponder for years to come.
Okay, but there were like moments in this movie, like they had like these like dream sequences and things that were just so strange. Like this grown man in a cloudy heavenly space, but he's connected to an umbilical cord, which leads back to his wife, and then he starts making out with her, and it's like they describe it in the description of this movie about him having Oedipal issues, but like, oh man, this was just and then he gets his friends involved and everything, and his wife. Can we talk about like their really poor executions of every plan that they had to get this photograph?
God. Like, honestly, it shows, like, I don't necessarily want to say this movie had good writing, but it shows that someone was at least competent, because you have to know the right way to do things to make it so perfectly wrong like they did in these movies.
Yeah, they were like So they decide. So the main character, whose name is Jean-Louis, he decided that he didn't want to have to take the picture of his mom's area because he didn't want to traumatize himself. So he asked his best friend to do it. And so he was estranged with his mother, kind of, and then they finally meet for the first time in like years. And then he just randomly invites his friend in. And then he and his wife like leave his elderly mother alone with this guy. And then this guy starts claiming that he is a gynecologist and needs to take an examination to help her back pain. And there are a lot of scenes in this that are verging on certain R word that YouTube gets mad about scenes. But so like they're like, I mean, I can understand the mother's I guess general discomfort throughout this movie, but it's just kind of it's just ridiculous. I mean, that's the best word to describe it. And you have this like grown man who's a vet, by the way. He's not a gynecologist, and he's like trying to chase this woman around, and this old woman, and then she's, oh my god. I mean, that's only the first time they try to get this picture. It's like a whole production.
Just, well, the whole time, like, I was so mad because I hated watching this movie. Like, I will admit that. Like, I hated so much of this experience. But I needed to know how they got the picture. Because I knew they got the picture because I spoiled it for myself. So, like, I knew that they got the picture, and I was like, these people are so incompetent of taking this picture. I need to know how they do it.
Like, because then, so they also tried to convince his mother to strip all her clothes off by pretending it was a holiday where everybody gets naked. And just start walking around butt naked in front of their mother. And then the friend from before, the vet, he tries to convince her that he takes erotic photos and wanted to photograph her. And then
because he was deeply in love with her,
he tries to hook up with her. And then Jean-Louis decides to take matters into his own hands and start having a conversation with his mother because he's gonna, die. And after discovering a whole lot of stuff about his mother, like transgressions and things about the fact that he's like he is an illegitimate son, and his mother, like, didn't she like kill his bird and stuff?
Oh, you're forgetting the best one, though.
Oh, and she took a poop on his girlfriend's bed or something, and made her break his heart in the form of the termination of young love because his mother took a poop in their house. And then they all tackle this mother and try to get the picture, and they basically kill her. Like, she just stops, and then they're like, wait, is she dead? And then they call the paramedics, but for some reason don't take the picture before the paramedics get there. Oh, and by the way, at some point during this summary, the veterinarian has tranquilized himself with horse tranquilizer. And then the paramedics are like, she's alive. But it was close. And then as they're on their way out, Jean-Louis is like, wait, I forgot to take the picture. And he goes and tackles the paramedics while his mother is unconscious and takes the picture.
What did we watch, Ava?
This is a real movie, you guys. Netflix created
Netflix acquired this. They looked this movie in the eye and we were like, we want you.
This is a Netflix film too. It's an original from France. I mean, it's very French as far as my experience with French things go. But like, oh man.
Well, I guess we're the fools because we watched it.
We are not fools. This was art. This is somebody's art that you're talking about, Jenna. Why are you calling it foolish?
I'm not calling the art foolish. I'm saying we're the ones who spent an hour and a half watching this movie.
Oh wait, it was only an hour and a half?
Yeah, it was like an hour and 38 minutes.
Wow. So they were able to
They were cruising.
keep the
through
movie
bad
under
ideas.
2 hours. It seems like that's like something that nobody can do anymore. Nobody can keep their movie under 2 hours. And that has shot a lot of movies in the foot for me recently. Also, just side note, if anybody listening has seen this movie and can tell me why in their second like appointment with Margot, the tiger in the mural behind her blinks, please explain that to me, because it's such a random thing. It's so random, but it's clearly deliberate. Like, it's not a glitch or anything. And it's so unsettling. Like, I can't stop thinking about this one, like, split second of this tiger. And there's so much to unpack with this movie. But this tiger is the thing that has been bothering me more than anything. And as you can see, there's a lot to be bothered by in this movie. So the fact that I'm still hung up on this weird painting blinking tells a lot about my priorities, but still, if anybody can explain it to me, please do.
Honestly, I think that's the safest thing to want to try and unpack in this movie.
Okay, I still don't understand what this Margot person was gonna do with a picture of his mom's thing. You know, I don't understand it. I don't know, like, what her plan was, because I know that it was supposed to be like this, like, wasn't it like a spiritual entity that was like stopping his heart from beating or something?
Yeah.
And I guess a Polaroid of his mom's area was gonna like banish it? I don't know.
Well, it's so weird because this movie framed itself like it was all about getting his heart to start beating again and like fixing that. But then by the end, it was mostly just about getting the picture. So there was just a weird disconnect of like, this is what you started with, but this is what we're ending with. So it was a little unsatisfying. I mean, I was glad that it was over, but you didn't really answer the thing you set out to solve.
Yeah, I mean, and also there was like, I was kind of confused because at the end, after his mom like got wheeled away or whatever, his heart like started beating for a time, and for a second I thought that was the point all along. He was supposed to have a conversation with his mom and find out this closure about his past, and then that would get his heart to start beating. And there was nothing to do with the photo at all, ever. He just needed to actually like find that closure in himself. That's what I thought happened. And then I guess his heart stopped beating again, and then he had to go take the picture. Which, I mean, since it's a comedy, I'll give it a pass. If it was not a comedy, I would be upset about that a lot.
Yeah, I don't know, there's just... defies words. Words fail in this moment, for me.
Hey, that's a song from Dear Evan Hansen.
That was the point.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't sing you that song. I've heard it before.
It's like, words
I just know that
fail.
there's a song called Words Fail.
Words fail. Yeah, Ben Platt, if you want to put me on your next album, I'm here. I got you. I got you, sir. No, okay. I liked his wife. I thought she was chill. I thought she was a pretty decent wife. You know what I mean? And like, I know at the beginning they like built up this foundation of them having like relationship troubles, and they kind of did resolve that a little bit. Like, they kind of brought them closer, I guess, throughout the film. But I thought she was pretty supportive the whole time. I liked her.
Yeah, I liked her too. And I lost track of their relationship. Like, I kind of get what the movie was doing, but just all of a sudden, like, just their marital problems went like completely away, and she was like totally down for all the shenanigans that went on in this movie, and just I don't know, it was hard to keep track, but I did like her. If anything, I liked her way more than any of the other characters.
I do think though that I mean their relationship problems were all like centered around the bedroom, right? And then she comes home one day and basically they tell her that her husband's like dying. And then she forgives him and everything, and I feel like that's kind of realistic, I guess. Like, I don't know, if I was just kind of dissatisfied with my husband, so I was kind of salty at him for a little while, and then he told me he was dying. I mean, I would get my priorities straight, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, this movie, I don't think was supposed to make a whole lot of sense. So part of me can forgive it when it does strange things, because honestly, you kind of forget about all that when you're watching this movie and you're like, wow, we're doing this. Great.
I don't really know how I felt about the main character, Jean-Louis. It was like,
He's bland.
whoa.
He didn't really do that much. His heart stopped beating. And then he just made other people solve his problems.
I found where the magnet in my laptop is. Whoa, I'm sorry, this is so off topic, but my other earbud is like moving on its own.
Whoa.
That magnets, wow. Whoa, that was so weird. Okay. No, yeah, I can't really tell if I liked him or not. I mean, I definitely didn't dislike him. Like, I mean, he was flawed. He had issues, I guess, but like a character should. It's not like if we're going back to The Lost Daughter, because that's the most fresh in my brain, it's not like that movie in which I just could not like the main character for like no reason. I just didn't like her, and then for no reason I just didn't dislike him, you know? It was like, I don't know, maybe it was just that the character was charismatic or something, but I don't know. I do feel like there should have been more of him being concerned for his life, but otherwise I did like him. I will say that. I think so. I think that my verdict is that I liked the main character.
Yeah, it was weird because they kind of had this whole thing at the end where he kind of like decides like, yeah, it's my life and like I'm gonna like live it, or kind of like whatever. Like there's just like this rejuvenated like positivity towards his life, I guess, but you don't really see why he comes to that conclusion. Like, they introduce a lot of his life as his heart is stopping, but then they focus so much on the shenanigans that you don't really see any like character development from him. Like, he doesn't ever really change that much. He just learns that he's an illegitimate child, and then his mom dies and he's like, well, guess I'm gonna live now. So
Well, she doesn't
I guess there was
die.
some internal catharsis, but I don't know.
She doesn't die, you know? I
Well,
mean,
like,
unless
she
he killed her,
dies.
but
But then she comes back.
yeah, they revive her. But I kind of disagree with you a little bit, because, you know, there was like, I think there was a lot of character growth just in him getting that closure and finding out all this information from his mother and everything. And because I mean, his thing was like, he doesn't talk to his mother, he has no connection with her, his connection with the women in his life is kind of suffering, right? So he's struggling with his wife, he's struggling with his mother, he doesn't even talk to his mother actually, and all this stuff. And then he finally he reconnects with his wife over the course of this movie. He kind of reconnects with his mother, he gets closure about what happened with his mother, and he goes on some wacky shenanigans and everything. So I feel like there is character development in terms of him and his relationships with the women in his life. I don't necessarily know if he will or should take back his mother, Um, but I did get that, especially from the ending when they were like, before he went and tackled the paramedics. I did get the vibe that he had like that his character arc had like kind of concluded, and that he had resolved to behave a little bit differently. And so I do think I got some character development from him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have phrased that better, and I guess, I don't know, I wish I would have, like, seen more of that aftermath. Because I feel like I kind of, like, I mean, I guess you have that with him, like, leaping after the paramedics to, like, go get that picture. But, I don't know, just something about it didn't feel complete to me. But that's also just my personal preference, and I was looking at the time left in this movie and I was like, oh my gosh, it's almost over.
I do think that this movie didn't really need to say a lot, though. Like,
That is true.
I mean, I generally don't mind when like comedies have a shorter like frame or whatever, because sometimes when comedy movies try to do something more ambitious with character and everything, the jokes take up too much space in the plot for them to make like lofty character developments. So there's like kind of a balancing act. So I feel like when you narrow down, like, if you just have minor growth with your character but still growth, then you're able to make it a little bit more ridiculous without kind of taking away from the plot. And I don't know, I mean, I don't watch a lot of comedy movies. I did think this one was funny just because it was ridiculous. But like, if we go back to, well, was it like our second episode? Or like our, I don't know, when we did Hubie Halloween, was that our second episode?
I'll go check. I think it might have been.
Anyways, Hubie Halloween, if I'm remembering it correctly, it took this guy who was like a nobody, and it ended with him being like king of the town and everybody loved him, and he had like grown so much and like all this weirdness. And I was like, that is a lofty goal for your character if you're trying to also make it funny. You know what I mean? Like, giving such a leap in popularity for characters, such a change in not only the main character but also the people around him, kind of. And I could be completely misremembering this plot. And if I am, don't hate on me too much. But it's like
we
that.
actively tried to forget the plot of Hubie Halloween.
Yeah, it's just like, when you have too much, like when you bite off too much, you gotta like cut off bits every, like, in other places so that your movie doesn't choke. So like when so they did not pare back the comedy in Hubie Halloween. Not that it was good comedy, but they put a lot in there. And it took away from their plans for character development, which resulted in a pretty terrible movie. And the jokes weren't even funny. In this one, I thought that, I mean, though a lot of their comedy was like sexual and everything, and if that's not your style, you're not gonna like it. Jenna just in the background. But I do think that if that's what you're into, you would like this movie. I think it kept the balance pretty decent. It had a simple goal, and it completed that goal, in my opinion, and it put its jokes in there. So I feel like in that sense, it kind of kept the balance going well.
Yeah, it was certainly something. And I mean, yeah, when I watch a comedy, which isn't very often, but sometimes it happens, I'm generally not looking for a big, huge message. I just think, for me, I need a little something to ground a movie that isn't, like, just the humor. Especially when it's a movie like this, where this really is not my type of humor. Like, I need something else to grasp onto and enjoy, because otherwise it's just these shenanigans and
Jenna screams uncomfortably just at the thought of this movie.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the movies that we watch that I immediately erase from my mind and never think about again. Just this information is never getting retrieved. It's just memory decay and long-term memory.
Jenna is just sad because there was like no soundtrack.
You're right, there wasn't. This movie really went and gave me absolutely nothing.
There was a French song at the beginning, which I was kind of jamming out to. The intro sequence, like the company's logos sequence and the opening credits, I was kind of vibing with, like, a lot. I liked the aesthetic. And then they kind of, like... you've watched something in French for too long when when the song in English at the end kind of makes your stomach turn. Because, like, I was like, I don't speak French. I don't understand it. But my brain was set to French at that point. And, yeah, in the final credits, they had an English song. And I was like, ew, what is this? That's weird. And then I was thinking about how, like, we'll have English movies that have, like, songs at the end credits with a different language. And I'm like, so this is how it feels. This is how it feels. Okay.
I see now. I see.
Oh my gosh, I was about to say something and then I forgot what I was gonna say. That makes me really mad. Like, very mad. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So, I mentioned earlier, this movie doesn't have dubs. And I don't know if it's because nobody wanted to dub it, but then again, movies like Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight got dubbed. So maybe they just made an artistic choice. But I normally watch the foreign films that we watch with dubs on, and I know some people might be like, ew, dubs, those are gross. And yeah, they're not always the best acted things in the world. But they definitely make it easier to watch, because I spent so much time reading, and I couldn't, like... Usually when I'm watching the movies for the podcast, sometimes I'll, like, react to Jenna and I'll text her or whatever. I could not really do that very much, because if I looked away from the screen, I had no idea what was going on in the conversation when I looked back. And it was like... It was like a workout for my brain, man. I read more watching this movie than I have in my English class for the past 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, and then, like, compared to me, watches absolutely everything with captions and sometimes forgets that, oh, maybe I shouldn't just read the captions and I should actually, like, watch the movie. That's an idea.
Book nerd!
Well, I'm so used to reading that sometimes I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to do this.
I mean, I have subtitles on whenever I watch anything, but I don't really read them. I mean, I just have there in case somebody's loud in the distance or something, or, like, for some reason I just feel like reading them. But honestly, they're more of just a comforting presence than an actual, like, tool for me.
Yeah, but it's weird because then when I watch a movie and there aren't subtitles, like, not so much like in a movie theater, but just when I am watching a movie without subtitles because it's like on the TV, I'm like, oh my god, like, where are they? Come back. I need you.
That's literally, okay, that's how I feel, even though I don't read them like you do. They just kind of float at the bottom of my screen. I don't get that way in movie theaters either. I mean, sometimes I use them to make sure that I'm understanding what the character said, but also sometimes they're wrong, and that bothers me. But most of the time, I just like the little text at the bottom of the screen for no reason, and so I can relate to your discomfort at not having the subtitles there. But I don't think I rely on them as much as you do for, like, actual understanding.
Yeah, well, because sometimes, like, when I don't have them, of course, it's like the one movie where characters are saying things, and I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. Like, what are you saying? I can't hear you." But yeah, I mean, I agree with the dubs thing because sometimes, like with other movies we've watched, I think it was Oxygen. Like sometimes I'll be doing other things while I watch a movie. Like that movie, I was painting my nails, so sometimes because I prefer to watch things with subtitles and if it's in a different language, especially. But that with that movie, I was like, well, I gotta put the dubs on so I can do other things and not look at like everything the whole time. So they are helpful. And yeah, dubs aren't that bad. I know some people have very strong opinions on the dubs versus subs matter, and I don't really hold vitriol in my heart for either. Just I prefer subtitles because it's why like I don't really TikTok is not my thing because I much rather prefer like reading a visual than like watching a visual, which is which is weird because I do this channel. But we don't have to get into that.
Wait, is subs versus dubs the official title of this debate?
I think so.
That's incredible. I love that.
I've heard it referred to as that. Here, wait. I'll look it up.
Okay, but in the meantime, yeah, no, Jenna is. I mean, if you've watched our videos before, which hopefully we'll start doing again soon after midterms.
After midterms, yeah.
Jenna she's done more book stuff, and I've done more movie stuff, I guess, and like TV stuff, and I mean, we were just having a discussion in class the other day in our English class in a small group, and Jenna and I were in the same group, right? And we were trying to bring things back to modern media, and I was relating it to the Oscars, and she was relating it to some book stuff. What was your book thing that you were relating to?
What was I relating to?
I don't know. I just remember I was like, oh, this is how you can tell the difference between the movie nerd and the book nerd.
I genuinely have no memory of what that was.
Wow. I guess my conversations with Jenna outside this podcast are just that unmemorable.
No, I remember having it, and I remember that remark, but I can't remember what we were talking about.
Don't worry, neither can I.
Like,
I just remember I was talking about the Oscars.
Mind, like, poetics, Socrates, like, I don't remember. All I remember is that women aren't real.
No,
that
they're
was
not.
the basis of that conversation.
Actually, no, maybe they are real, because if they weren't real, then how did this movie happen?
Just that photo develops at the end and it's just blank.
No, imagine the film was like the film was like what is it called when the overexposed or something? I don't know, but like the picture didn't turn out or something. They used bad film, and then he just like keels over and dies. In the end credits scene, he just died.
The mom was a vampire all along.
Whoa! What would he have done in that scenario? What would he have done if his mom was a vampire? He would be a vampire then, right? Is that
That's why his heart isn't beating.
I think vampires' hearts beat.
Well, aren't vampires like dead sometimes?
Okay, this is a whole thing, because sometimes vampires are just like infected humans, and sometimes they're technically undead. I don't understand. Do the humans die from the bite and come back as a vampire, or do the bites just inflict them with venom and they become humans that have vampire abilities? Because there are ways to kill vampires and stuff, but then again, there are actually ways to kill zombies. So like, I guess that's not a good example. But I don't understand. Are vampires dead and undead, or are they just a different species? I don't get it.
I don't know anymore.
See,
Vampires
sometimes
are weird.
Sometimes on this podcast I just say things and Jenna doesn't know how to respond.
I mean, that's me with most conversations, though. Gonna be honest. Don't know why I thought it was a good idea for me to do a podcast where you talk and converse for an hour and it's recorded and people are listen to it for entertainment, but that's just where we are right now.
You know, maybe I was just like super intimidating when I texted you that one day. I was like, I want to start a podcast, and like you never talked to me in like actual like real life ever.
We had talked. We had talked in gym.
We had talked briefly, like a couple times.
Well, yeah, you sent me that text and I was like, I want friend. Sure.
Aww.
Have I not told you this before? I feel like I have.
I don't know, probably. We've probably discussed this on the podcast, the origins of WWM at some point, but...
Well, we should have a different origin story every time you bring it up.
Oh my gosh, yeah, next time Jenna's gonna have asked me to start the podcast. And I'm gonna have turned it down 3 times. I'm gonna be like Julius Caesar. I turned down the crown 3 times.
And then the origin story is actually not that you turned down the crown 3 times, but we actually disliked each other so much that people needed to stage an intervention. So they decided make us talk about movies on a podcast to make us get along.
No. I'm Julius Caesar. I told you. And you assassinated me. And then resurrected me to do a podcast.
Things just got too boring without our rivalry, guys.
I'm sorry. I was under the impression that you were my best friend. And I was all like, et tu, Jenna. Et tu. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. I forgave you. I forgave you a long time ago.
Have you now?
Yes.
So what?
Yes,
what
I have.
Oh, okay. That would. Like,
I have forgiven you.
Oh God, stop! I only have one earbud in because the other one doesn't work, so it's just going straight.
Jenna, I have forgiven you.
Other people have done that to me, and it goes like straight into my kidneys. Like, my lower back hurts when you do that. Like, there is a physical pain.
Well, you know, that's what you get for, like, assassinating me and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just must be, like, the ghost knife sticking out of me. You blew out your mic doing it.
I blew on my mic, actually.
Well, no, the sound, like, cut out, so you didn't win.
I didn't win?
No.
Oh.
That's not encouragement to try harder.
Apologies all headphone users except for Jenna.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Might as well just take off the other one. Do this without listening to you.
I would like to see you try because I almost had to do that. We were supposed to record like 2 hours ago, but I couldn't find my headphones, and so I couldn't hear Jenna, and it was an issue, and I felt bad because I always seem to have issues when we go to record.
No. We talked about this. I was a hot mess when we started this podcast. I distinctly remember first episode we were recording. It took me like 20 minutes to find something with a microphone that worked, and I just had like 5-6 pairs of headphones and earbuds just scattered on the floor.
Nice. That was a whole time. It was so long to get our rhythm. I think we have a rhythm now.
I think so,
I hope
too.
So.
Now it's like, yeah, we're recording this week? Oh, yeah, we are.
Now it's like, do you want to watch a movie that's in French about a guy taking a picture of his mom's private spots? And you're like, yeah, that sounds perfect for the podcast. I think Jenna's exact words when I was going through this and I showed her the movie, she was like, this is the most WWM Productions thing I have ever seen.
You know, as much as it hurts me to say it, I still stand by that opinion.
I mean, yeah, like, this, I would have never watched, like, a lot of the movies that we've watched for the podcast had it not been for the podcast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that I'm better off because of it. Because I've seen so many new movies now. And I've seen more foreign movies than I've ever seen in my life, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this is one for the history books. I don't know if any of the foreign movies that I've seen because of this podcast are ones that I will be cherishing until my dying day. But I enjoyed myself watching this movie. I will give it that. I enjoyed watching this movie.
I can't say the same, but I can see why you would.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely more my humor than Jenna's humor. Like, if you've spoken to us in real life, you'll know that it's definitely more my humor than Jenna's humor. Jenna missed the entire lunch incident today.
Tell me more.
It involved one of our frequent viewers who is in my homeroom or whatever, and she was eating a cucumber, and another
I know who it is now.
another one of our friends made jokes, and I made jokes, and she got very uncomfortable.
I'm gonna have to interrogate one of you about this later. I did not hear about this after I saw this person the next period.
Oh my god. It was a time. It was great.
You know, that's not even the first time that she has eaten just a raw cucumber whole at lunch. And 2, that is not even the second time someone has made jokes about her doing it.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the fact that you said A and 2.
No, I know.
You were like, A, this happened, and 2.
That's how this goes, Ava.
Oh yeah, okay, so I'm gonna say my ABCs. Ready? A, 2, C, 4. E, 6, G.
I didn't promise I was smart, okay?
8, J. 10, K. L, 12. Wait.
You know what, guys? I think I'm done. I think I'm gonna retire to a farm upstate. Never have to deal with any of this ever again. Make sure there's no internet connection.
I just banged my head really hard.
On what?
On my bed.
Isn't your bed supposed to be soft?
Not the drawer part of it.
Well, that sounds like a problem.
Well, also, I don't see, if you guys have watched last summer, my vlogging every day until I finished my first pilot thing, I showed in one of the first episodes how I record the podcast. So I don't know how Jenna's setup is, but I build a blanket for it every time that we record a podcast. Not a fancy blanket for it or anything, just like a really thrown together blanket for it because it helps with like echoes or something, because I have like high ceilings in my room. And so basically picture me like perched on the floor against my bed with like a folding music stand and a desk chair all under like a blanket. And anyways, I was just like enjoying myself, and then I rammed my head into the bed frame really hard. Just kind of what it felt like to watch this movie, actually. Not the ramming my head into the bed frame necessarily, but like the chaos of it all. Definitely.
You want to know how I record the podcast, Ava? I sit in a chair on my computer. That is all.
Okay, I feel like you're bullying me a little bit right now.
I could sit in my closet because all of my pants are short enough that I could fit under them, but I don't do that because it's kind of dark in there. And I haven't sat in there since like the summer.
I did record in a closet once. I recorded in my sister's closet once. Our Free Guy episode. I don't remember why, but I did. And I don't think it made much of a difference. My blanket fort is a pretty nice setup. Not the
You do
most
have a
comfortable,
nice
but like
blanket
pretty
fort.
decent. And it's been serving me well for a couple years now.
Sounds about right.
I've tried to make more aesthetic blanket forts in the past for videos, but I've only ever used one once. And I didn't really like the final result. So, I don't know. I have never been one to make those like epic blanket forts, you know what I mean? And especially because my parents would never want me to. And I don't really have a like, you know how people have like those cozy living rooms with like a ton of couches and everything that you could just take apart and put all your blankets together with? Yeah, I don't really have that, and also my parents would lose their minds if I did do that. So I can't make those like epic blanket forts that people make all the time, which makes me super jealous. So I just have to make do with my little recording shack that I've created. I guess it's more of a blanket shack than a blanket fort.
Radio Shack.
Oh my god, wait, I'm Radio Rebel.
Good for you.
Do you know what that's from?
I'm familiar with the concept of Radio Rebel. You've already yelled at me for not watching it, though. So don't you dare remind me.
Okay, but you haven't seen it?
No.
You haven't seen it.
We've been over this. I know for a fact we've been over this in another episode.
Jenna!
There it is.
Jenna! How dare you?
I mean, I don't know. It's
God.
actually pretty easy.
Pretty easy to what? Just live with yourself, knowing that you have never experienced the I'm Radio Rebel scene.
Remarkably, yes.
You literally are a Radio Rebel. Because we have a podcast, but we're not on like a radio station. So that makes you Radio Rebel, and you have never experienced that movie. And you've never experienced the weird Debbie Ryan smile, okay? Not in person. And that is not allowed, Jenna. Our friend who ate the cucumber would be very disappointed in you right now.
I know. Don't worry. You're not the only one I get it from. I disappoint people
anyways.
left and right.
That was sad.
It was supposed to be funny, but it didn't come out that way.
I disappoint people all the time anyways.
Whoopsie.
Well, seeing as we've been off topic for like a solid like 15-20 minutes at this point, I think it's a good time to like wrap this up. But really, you don't say. Jenna's trying to escape. Anyways.
Listen, I could escape anytime I wanted to. It's a button away.
Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for listening this far. If you have listened this far, you're definitely a trooper, and we love and respect you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you're not on YouTube, you can probably follow us wherever you are. That would be pretty cool. Also, if you are on YouTube and you have the description, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. We're not super active right now. We're trying to I guess you could say we're undergoing renovations. We don't really know what we want our social media presence to look like right now, but the more you follow us, the more motivated we will be to fix it. Or just stick to YouTube, you know, that's pretty cool. And yeah, so we're gonna try to get some videos going again. That would be pretty nice. Try to be just have fun on the channel again. It's pretty cool. And we would love for you to be there when we do. So we post new podcasts every Friday. Hopefully gonna get some videos out. I'm gonna stop talking. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Jenna, anything to add?
If I was the friend in this movie, and I was told that I would have to do this, I mean, it would really depend on who was asking me. Because would I undergo this? I mean, just first of all, the fact that your friend is like, well, I don't want to be traumatized, you do it. Anyway. Just something to ponder, I guess. Just a real question of friendship. Like, would you, for your friend, for them to live and get their heart started again, would you do this? That is all.
Okay, bye!